Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag yes, hashtag JD49. Some of the usual suspects are in here, even from the UK. Welcome in Colin, Mikey, Technic Chick, Terry. Hey, everybody. Man, it's been a hot minute. As Johnny just said before the show, we were talking a little bit about our man Mitch leaving. We'll get into that. I want to start with a funny story, Johnny. 2 days ago, Wednesday, I made the less than 3-hour trip up north to Detroit, Michigan, to see our beloved San Francisco Giants get swept by the Detroit Tigers, who are the best team in all of baseball. But I went to the game. Heliot Ramos hit a ball that is still going. It is still going in the Detroit 313. It is still going. That was pretty cool to see. The funny story is, I don't know if you guys watched the Giants game on Wednesday, but the grounds crew in the 6th inning, the one guy tore his ACL, and there was like a 20-minute delay. And I watched the replay later and watched the broadcast, and Hunter Pence and Dave are talking about it, and he flips off the camera. I'm like, they're trying to go out to help him, and the camera's just trying to see what's going on, and he looks directly into the camera and gives it the bird. And we're watching in real time. Obviously, I'm there, and I don't see that part. We are just like, what is going on? I don't know if anyone else saw that, but and Technic Chick says it is out of here. Uh, Unluckily, Crook and Kipe were not on the call. I do enjoy Hunter Pence. He is amazing. But that was just 2 days ago. I'm still feeling a little bit sad, Johnny, that the Bay Area, we got swept. But I'm excited to hang out with everyone and with you. We got a lot to get into. Where do you want to start? How are you doing? I'm glad you're alive. I mean,
Yeah. It's been a crazy few weeks, and it's going to continue being crazy for the next 3 to 4 weeks as well. So just hold on there, faithful. We are still working behind the scenes. Just some of the scheduling has not worked out the best. School in Alabama gets out really early. My kids have been out of school for 2 weeks now. So that's part of it. Part of it is just this is my busy time of year at work. And so and some other things. I'm flying out and driving across the country, the entire country next week. And so we might be able to do some evening shows. I haven't been able to talk to Adam about it all the way yet
I'm down.
next week, but we're going to try and get some evening shows in because I'm going to be, again, in hotels every night for a lot of next week. And then I'm out of town all the week after that. This last week, I had taken a bunch of young kids to a summer camp, and so I was there in the heat and thunderstorms of Alabama. But we're back, and there was a lot of things happening because the last show we did was literally the day after Brock Purdy had signed his contract, and so since then we've had Fred Warner signed his contract extension, and the 49ers started OTAs, and they signed Thomas Morstead and cut the Aussie bomber, Mitch Wishnowski. So,
That was weird for
um,
me. That was so
yeah,
weird.
that
What are you
wasn't on my
thinking?
bingo card. Like, that wasn't
Yeah,
on my bingo card. It seemed like for every intent, for all intents and purposes, uh, that the 49ers loved Mitch Wishnowski, and Kyle
yeah,
Shanahan talked about it in his presser yesterday, that he's like, Mitch is a guy that I love. I love as a football player. I love as a person. Um, and he did kind of intimate that that was more of Brant Boyer's decision than it was Kyle's decision. He's deferring to his special teams coordinator. He said, he's got more expertise in that than Kyle does. I kind of feel the same way. I don't know anything about punting. I don't know anything
yeah,
about holding for a kicker. I do find it interesting because, and I talked with Rob about this yesterday, that we've seen the 49ers get a new punter and a new holder. So, or excuse me, long snapper and a new holder. So we often just think about just the punting aspect of a punter, but the 49ers missed a lot of field goals last year, and Jake Moody missed a lot of field goals last year. And they're being very serious about addressing some of those issues. One is a long snapper. Tabor Pepper. We didn't see nobody saw that coming, that they were going to replace Tabor Pepper. And
yeah.
I don't know the details of long snapping. It all looks the same to me. And I don't know the details of holding. It all looks the same to me. But when you're dealing at the NFL level, there's a lot of things. And so, they're saying we're looking at wholesale changes. Mitch Wisnowski was not just the punter, he was also the holder. And so, for the same reasons they moved on from Tabor Pepper, is that part of why bringing in Thomas Morstead. Now, on top of that, when you do look at the way at Mitch Wisnowski's numbers, they weren't great. I mean, he hasn't been one of the better punters in the league for a little while. And so I think his contract plays partly into that, because his contract is one that he had signed an extension in 2022, was about to start ballooning. It was going to be $4 and $5 million a year. And if the performance is not matching the pay, then they choose to move on. Plus, when you have somebody who's rock solid like Thomas Morstead, it makes it easier to do that. But when you look at where Mitch Wisnowski was ranked as far as yards per punt, so I understand he had missed some time last year, but when it's yards per punt, he was 30th in the league. I mean, that's not great. There's only 32 starting punters, really. There's 34 guys who qualified, and he was.
He's tapered off. He was obviously injured more than maybe what we knew. That there's no way that a guy like that is good as he was above average when he started with us, and then it kind of tapered down. I know, like you said, he missed time. I think it was probably some nagging injuries as he gets older. This is just me assuming, but it is weird to see for sure. Do you think Morstead will be the holder then?
Yeah. Now, I will say this, Adam. Though you can say that, but this was his third best year out of six. So, it wasn't like the outlier year of his yards per punt.
Fair.
So, his career year was 2023 at 47.7. 2020 was second at 46.9. Last year is 45.2. But 2022, 43.9, 2021, 45, and 2019, 44.9.
Now, but let
So
me ask you this, Johnny, because
that's
now
not
wait,
net punt. That's not net punting. That is from the spot he kicks it to where it is fielded.
but see, do you have to play like in what about the idea that sometimes the 49ers advance the ball so far that when they're punting, it's not inside their own 20 a lot of the times, it's towards midfield, and so the punt is automatically going to be less. Do we have any I mean, I haven't obviously looked at those numbers, but that could play a part, couldn't it? Or do you
I mean,
think what is your gut does your gut say he really wasn't all that great then?
well, I mean, look, in 2024, 11 punts downed inside the 20, and no other year is less than 20. I mean, now again, he only played half the year, but when you look at the percentage, it's still, I mean, it's better than his first 3 years when it's down inside the 20. Um, his inside the 20 percentage, so that's the rate at which he can get it inside the 20, the opponent's 20. His first 3 years, 44.2, 37.9, 36.8, and then there's a big jump, 52.5, 50, and then 50. So his percentage was the same this year as it was last year. So when you say, well, it might be nagging injuries, the numbers don't say that this is an outlier year, 2024. It says it's very much on par with a lot of what else he's done. He just, it wasn't as strong as maybe we would think about. That we had all, I think, remarked on it last year that the 49ers had signed a punter off the street who was doing a better job than Mitch Wishnowski was last year. And when you look at Thomas Morstead on the other side, Thomas Morstead, his career numbers, on average, most of them are still better than Mitch Wishnowski's career numbers. So, sorry, I just had a guitar case fall over on the in my office here, and it really scared me because it sounded like somebody
I
jumping,
heard
and
it.
I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scared me. But when you look at Thomas Morstead, I mean, he's at the last just 4 years, 46.1 when we're talking about yards per punt, 46.4, 48.8, 47.2. Those are better than Mitch Wisnowski. I mean, his every year, every single year, he was ranked higher than Mitch Wisnowski was in all those. So when you look at it, Morstead's available. Brant Boyer has worked with him. He's trusts him.
Yeah.
You have Mitch Wisnowski, who had been injured. When he's healthy, he's still not performing, maybe up to the contract. You're also having holder issues. I think just looking at everything holistically and fresh eyes, I think that really is the big difference. Fresh eyes on the special teams units. That somebody who's not working with these guys every single day for 3 years and maybe has some personal loyalties there has come in, because we have talked about special teams being an issue for years. That this has been, special teams have been subpar and cost the 49ers games. I mean, some of the most important games you can have were lost. The Super Bowl, you're in there. What changed that game was a muffed punt. I mean, that we always have to remember
Yeah.
that there has been so many games that the 49ers have just straight up lost because of their special teams. And so I think bringing in fresh eyes has said this unit can be better. Not by the guys who are here can perform better. We can get guys who perform better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think that's the thing um that for me is what I like about this and this approach with Brant Boyer is that he's coming in and saying, I'm not personally attached to any of these guys. I haven't worked with any of these guys. I've got some guys that I know I can trust. And when I'm just looking at everything in an unbiased way, we can get better. And they're doing it. So that's something that, as from a team perspective, I like.
Yeah. Definitely something. I mean, when I saw the name Thomas Morstead, I was like, oh, I definitely perked up. Like, okay, this is a bit of an upgrade for sure, and a well-known guy. And hey, yeah, I'm happy to see what we can do. I'd like to see the punter used as a weapon. A punt is not always a bad thing in football. Sometimes it's very, very, very good. If you can change field position and back them, nowadays you can get punts inside the 10, back where years ago, inside the 20 was a big deal. So I think if the punter is someone that we can count on to be a top 15 at least kind of guy, then we're all for it. And you mentioned the new coaching staff, different eyeballs. How do you think
Well,
those eyeballs are doing then so far with what you've seen then?
also another thing to note is that Thomas Morstead has not had a punt block since 2011.
Sheesh, a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hot minute since he's had a punt block. So, um, you know, he's as solid as of a and reliable as a punter as there is. He's kind of the Robbie Gold of punters. So there's that. But sorry, go back
Gold
to your
standard.
question.
Yeah, so well, and I was shifting a little bit to with OTAs, this new coaching staff,
Tutu.
you know, um, what do you think with a lot of new guys on staff and some familiar faces? What do you think the goal of OTAs are? And let's get into that a little bit. I mean, it's just exciting when OTAs. It's like football is coming, is the vibe, you know.
Well,
Got some injuries too to talk through. That's
yeah.
always frustrating
So
to hear still.
OTAs is where they get to actually get out there and start putting to field all the stuff that they've been learning during the install. So, your different off-season programs, there's not a lot of on-field work that's allowed, but they do a lot of conditioning, they do a lot of strength training, but they also have a lot of classroom time with players. There's a lot of install, there's a lot of film. So they're going through their package installs, and that's what's really important. And I think that's also why, Kyle Shanahan talked about that they pretty much have almost perfect attendance. Is that, if you have, for example, some guys on defense that are saying, okay, we're going back to the same system that we were running with D'Amico Ryans, when Nick Sorensen's in there. We don't necessarily have to be there. We know most of this stuff. You can look at the schedule and say, okay, there's maybe only 2 days where something a little bit different's going to be in there. So they just want the install tape sent to them, because they record their install tapes when they do these install sessions, so they can send it to players when they miss a day or something. And so guys are going to do that. Look, the fact is, when you are trying to watch it on a tablet at home, it is not the same as being there in the room, taking your notes and being able to ask questions and go through things with your coaches. And so I think their goal is to get through the installs and then start installing the new stuff and get all of that ready, so that when training camp comes around, one, they can fly through the install and then get to even more new packages. And so it's going to be rush packages. They're going to be tweaking personnel usages and cross training people. So the fact that you have an experienced coaching staff that is understanding that you have the vibes are there, that the guys all wanted to come back and be there for these installs. So that's where you see it and just go, okay, I think they're set up. This coaching staff has them on a better track for a solid footing going forward with their prep into training camp, into the season, than I think they've had in several years. So it's really exciting to think about that. But there is a lot of unprovens there. And so OTAs now are the first time guys get to put out on film and on tape on the practice field translating install to field.
Whole lot of burger, something burger, or a nothing burger, Ricky Pearsall.
A something burger. We oftentimes will downplay injuries this time. Oh, it's just OTAs. Oh, it's just the mini camps. But like we're talking about, this is the first time they're getting live reps
Yeah,
on everything that they've been talking about
I'm
and working
disappointed.
on.
I'm disappointed that he's injured. I just am. Like
I
I
mean,
want to be excited and hear that he's doing well, not that he's injured,
now, yeah, and as far as it sounded like, it was a really mild tweak that really it's nothing,
Yeah.
not 6 to 8 weeks or anything. It's
Yeah,
literally
he
just
should be
like a
fine.
yeah. They said it might be a 1 to 2 week thing, and the there was more like, okay, he could come back for mini camp, but as Kyle Shannon put it, he's like, it's kind of like somebody coming back and it's the last 2 days of school. And so, do you really throw him out there and do the last 2 days of school when you got training camp coming down the pipeline? So I think, you know, I'm not going to say it's nothing. I'm not going to say it's a huge thing.
Right.
Now, the benefit is that he's been working with Brock all off season, and
Yeah.
they have been most likely. We don't necessarily see every time of it, but during these off-season programs, taking everything from the classroom, going out onto the field, and them working on it. There's nothing that prohibits players from going out there and working on things and working on the routes and the installs and saying, okay, we're going to do this, and now we're going to see this look and adjust on this route, and we're going to see this look, and we'll adjust, so predetermine what their adjustments are going to be. But As long as he gets a training camp, I will feel much better. If it's missing OTAs and it's missing mini camp and it's missing 2 weeks of training camp or 3 weeks of training camp, then I'm going to be concerned. That's when it becomes a whole lot of burger. It's not a nothing burger, but not a whole lot of burger.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Reminder, guys, we're talking through OTAs a little bit as Lisa says, bang, bang. I'm so excited for this season. We are to Lisa. Thank you for the super chat. Always fun to hang out with you, Lisa. Reminder that if you are just catching us right now, I wonder if you have hit the notification bell. So be sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be updated when we go live. Also, thank you to the members. If you are not a member, be sure to check out the website as well. Thank you to Power Brand Systems who helps with that. Shout out to them. Also, wanted to let you guys know if there are any racing fans here, check out yesterday's episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Our buddy Devin from Racing Idiot Nation was on, and it was his first time at the Indy 500. I've been 4 times and it was his first time. That was pretty cool. It was a cool interview. So if you're into racing, check out Racing Idiot Nation and Sports Idiot Nation. We're talking through some injuries here. Let me scroll through because there was a question that Alberto Soto had asked the injuries of Brown and Ricky. Let's just go through, and the chat can help me out if I forget all the injuries right now that we're going through. We did talk about Ricky Pearsall. That was the glaring one for me because he was injured last year twice. One a football injury and one being shot on the freaking street. So I was just that one stuck out to me because I was so excited for him to start out healthy and get rolling. But we have a few more injuries to go through as well, Johnny.
Yeah, so Jair Brown, he had it was revealed by Kyle Shannon. He had a procedure on his ankle, so it wasn't quite ready yet, and he will be ready for training camp. I think that's another player who needs more on-field work, especially with Sala.
He's got a lot
So
to prove.
I don't love that sort of situation there. Marcus Siegel is not ready to go quite yet. I guess he had something. It was a calf or something that they knew about, and they knew that when they drafted him that he wasn't going to be available till training camp, which again, that's something that nobody knew about. That has not been shared at all. And you hear that and you go, oh, and apparently every team knew it, but nobody said anything. So that there's that. And then Alfred Collins, he had the stress fracture, I believe, in his foot. He was in a walking boot that everybody knew about beforehand. That was after his pro day. He had sustained that. So they've already known about those. So these aren't any big surprises. I will say, Glassy, talking about Trent not
Yep.
being there. Kyle
I
did
want to
say
see.
that Trent was there for most of the offseason program, but Trent has not participated in any on-field work in years,
Yeah.
years. He shows up, he's somebody that, especially at his advanced age, one, I don't think you're going to get that much more improvement from Trent. What I don't love is that it would be a good time for him to build chemistry with
Yeah.
whoever's that left guard is going to be, because that's somebody he has not played with. So to get out there, and now Trent's just kind of a guy who's like, look, that guy better come in, and when I give a call over there, that he's going to hear that call and we're going to get it, and I expect him to do his job. I mean, that's the way Trent kind of is. His vibe about everything is, I expect when I show up there, I'm going to do my job. Everybody else better be doing their job. And so for him, it's not as much about, I need to sit there and work with this guy so that we're on the same page. He better be on the same page with me, is kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
49ers throwback coming in. He says, bye
Yeah.
bye, Mitch Wishnowski. Jake Moody,
You're
you're
next.
next.
Yeah.
Kind of a Goldberg idea there, that Jake Moody, you're next. Maybe
of the
we'll see. We'll see if Moody makes it through training camp. That's gonna be we're all gonna be on the Moody watch for the next 3 months.
So Callie said earlier, I believe, if you scroll through, said if Moody wasn't a third round pick,
Yeah, I
uh,
saw that.
he would probably already be a dunzo. Um, and it's just we've talked
Well,
about
that
this when he got drafted. Right after he got drafted, we had a whole show and literally talked about, was that the best move to draft a kicker in the third round?
I think it's that and the fact that he's on a rookie contract. So he's still cheap. I think that
Yeah,
plays
he
into it as
better
well.
be. Yeah,
Well, and that contract is very much mostly guaranteed. So you don't gain a lot cap wise by cutting him. Really, you don't gain anything by cutting him. And so, like, you have to prove that you actually do have an improvement on your roster already before you move on from him. Like
yeah,
you gain nothing right now in this time of year by cutting him. You don't gain anything until September. So I don't see Jake Moody being cut. I mean, maybe if they just have made the decision that he's not the guy next year under any circumstances, and when they reach that, they'll cut him and say, we'll give you a chance to go catch on with another team. But until they have made that 100% true, and like Mike right now, I don't think you're taking a big roster spot. You have a 90-man roster right now. So there's
right. You don't have to cut
37
down.
guys
Yeah,
there's 37 guys who won't make a roster here. You're going to have 20 camp bodies that have zero chance of making this roster that maybe are competing for practice squad assignments. So I don't see that 90th spot on the roster as this super valuable position. They brought in somebody that's going to compete with him as a kicker. So I just don't like I don't see the upside. A guy who's going to be your ninth corner at this point, I just don't see that it's out there.
yeah. I don't think we have anyone else. Mike Kofer is not walking in the door anytime soon. So
That's a
um,
that's a callback.
that is a what is called a throwback. Yeah, shout out to Throwback who commented. So I wanted to throw that in there. Tecmo Super Bowl days. Okay, so we were listening. So funny. Right before the show, this is a virtual studio that we're not together in the same room, obviously. And so in the virtual studio, Johnny didn't see me, and I was lurking, just listening to what he was listening to, and it was a Fred Warner interview. Which one was that? Because I wanted to get into that a little bit.
That was just yesterday. Him and George Kittle, they spoke to the press. Wasn't a whole lot there. I mean, it was just your standard. How are the vibes? How does this feel?
Yeah,
How does it feel to get your contract extension done? What does it mean? And there's no real nuggets of like,
yeah,
okay, that was extremely profound. I mean, it was all the stuff you expected him to say. It feels great to have the contract extension, just to have that security, focus on football and everything. Jose Cortez, bro. I remember
yeah.
Jose
Oh
Cortez.
yeah, Jose
No. I,
Cortez,
I don't have a positive viewpoint
number
with Jose
six,
Cortez
number six.
because, at least if I'm remembering this correctly, so I went to a game in Seattle in '04, and I believe Jose Cortez was our kicker. I'm gonna have to look this up and make sure. I believe Jose Cortez was the kicker, and it was in Seattle at the time. It was CenturyLink. No, it was Quest Field at that time. So it was Quest Field at that time. Went to go see him. It was the year after we had traded away Terrell Owens for that bum from the Eagles and like a 5th round pick. And it was Dennis Erickson's first year coaching with us. It was like the
Oh,
third or
okay.
fourth game of the year, and we got beat 38-0. I think it was the final score,
Gosh,
38-0.
I'm glad I don't remember that. I really
It was
don't.
it was 38, 35, something like that. And I remember it because it was the first time since 1977 that the 49ers had been shut out in a game.
Before Joe Montana, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right before
It
Joe.
was it was the first time in 240 regular season games,
Yeah, you gotta.
27 years. I
God.
think it was even more than it was 420 regular season games. 420 regular season games. The first time, and I was there, and Here's where the Jose Cortez comes in. I'm pretty sure it was Jose was the kicker at that time. No, this is 21 years ago. But what made it a shutout was they attempted a 48-yard field goal, and he doinked it off the bottom crossbar. Doinked off the bottom crossbar, a 48-yard field goal attempt. Didn't have the leg for a 48-yard field goal.
Oh, Jose, not yeah. I like his shoes. I've been known to rock the Nike Cortezes, but his kicking I cannot do. Yeah.
So,
That is bad.
yeah.
I blocked that from my memory banks, I guess. I seriously don't remember that.
Most
Man,
people wouldn't. It was because it was
gosh.
the very first game I went to.
Oh gosh.
Very first I'd never been to a 49ers game in my life.
Oh,
And
that
that
is
was
bad.
the game. Oh, it was
Oh,
34-0. Okay,
I'd stop
34 to
going.
0.
I would stop. I would not want to
I'm
go to
looking it
another
up.
game.
Well,
Oh.
and then the next game I went to was the Mike Singletary pants dropping game. I was
Gosh,
certain
there
I
was
was the
some dark
curse
years.
for a
Yeah,
while.
there was some dark years. Yeah, Mike B says the Seahawks weren't even a division rival back then, which
No.
is weird, so weird to think about. Yeah, like people ask me in Indiana, like being a Niner fan, some of the dynamic, they're Colts fans and dynamic of division rivals. And it's always interesting to talk through that because it has shifted, because we have a place in our hearts of disdain for the Saints and Falcons in a different way, just because we do have memories of taking on Andre Rison twice a year and things like that, and Bobby Abear twice a year, things like that. And now it's just so different. um Ed G says we were terrible those seasons and so
Okay, I do need to
embarrassing.
apologize to Jose Cortez. Apparently, we had let him go that
Oh,
year,
we'd already let him
and
go.
we'd already let
So,
him go.
is it Joe
And
Nedney?
so the kicker was Todd Peterson.
Oh, I don't even remember. Dude, that's now there's the Obi-Wan voice. That's a name I have not heard because yeah, I don't I got
Todd
nothing.
Peterson, he hit
Do you have that game
there's one
pulled
pretty
up?
notable.
Do you have the game stats, Johnny? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Can you give me the quarterback splits for that game? Can you just give them out real quick? Because I'm just curious.
Okay,
We-
quarterback splits. Ken Dorsey, 19 of 32 for 153 yards, 2 interceptions, and 3 sacks, and a quarterback rating of 45.4. Matt Hasselbeck, 21 of 30 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1 sack, and a quarterback rating of 117.9. Trent Dilfer came in and was 1 of 2 for 9 yards, no sacks, no touchdowns, no
Uh,
interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 62.5.
better than Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey's record at Miami, 38-1. NFL trash.
Yeah, and now
It just happens that way.
he's been an offensive coordinator, and he's also been fired as an offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah,
Weird football
yeah,
life. I would watch a football life on NFL Network, Ken Dorsey, just to see those lows and highs. I mean, he's got to be a character. Like that's kind of crazy to go through that.
yeah.
Um
Our top receiver that game was Cedric Wilson.
oh god. Oh god. Cedric, not the entertainer, Wilson.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So we have derailed a nice little jaunt
Anyways,
into
anyways,
bad
so Fred
history.
Warner got his extension.
So here's what I want
Um,
to say about Fred Warner. Here's what we're talking about. All right. So I did like that. Which rookie was it? That's the only thing I didn't catch. I can assume, but he was talking about a rookie where he said some guys come in and are a little bit not on the shy side really, but like kind of they want to be cool for school a little bit and they're scared about wanting to sound weird and they don't ask a lot of questions. And he was happy to see that this rookie was all in on just asking everything. And you do like to hear that. Who was that?
no, I don't remember. Um, I mean, it was a 16-minute presser. I didn't
Well, it was
remember every
only
last little nugget.
Arnez Battle. Holy cow.
Arnez
Are we
Battle was
just
the
going to
punt
go
return,
through?
and I looked it up. He was like the 5th receiver on. I think he only had 1 catch that game. I will always remember Arnaz Battle for the 2006 game against Seattle that Alex Smith, it was like the game where we thought Alex Smith has arrived. The 49ers have arrived. Because I remember he made like a 45-yard flat-footed throw down the sideline to Arnaz Battle. And we beat the Seahawks. And I remember Alex Smith getting a naked boot and running in for a touchdown. And he had like two passing touchdowns. I think it was 2 rushing touchdowns. And we were like, Alex Smith has arrived. And
That was bad
then the
weather,
Jim
wasn't that?
Hostler happened. Yeah, it was a rain game.
Yes, I
Like
do
it
remember
was
that.
everything.
Yep.
Glass City's coming in. It's Nick Martin. Nick Martin, the linebacker. He was the one that was asking all the questions. So anyways, but with talking about linebackers, I'm just excited that Fred's contract got done and that there's no holdouts, that you have everybody there, that we have been through, the big thing to me was I wanted to see all the contracts done before OTAs, before mini camps, because these times are valuable. And this time on the field is valuable. The guy, anytime somebody misses it, they'll downplay it. And then when something happens in the season and they say, well, why is this guy having a little bit slow? Well, that when they missed all that time during those OTAs and during that mini camp, that's time that really is valuable. Like during the season, coaches will always acknowledge that somebody missing time during this time of the year was actually, important. But then when they're missing it now, it's like, well, they'll be all right. It'll be okay. And they're always downplaying it, like at that point. And then it's okay. Yeah, well, this happened and it would have been great for them to be there. The fact that these contracts are done, there's no holdouts right now, and everybody has been there, is so much better than it's been.
Yeah.
And getting them done is so refreshing that we're not here on the Fred Warner watch. Of when is Fred Warner going to sign his contract? Like we were with Trent Williams, like we were with Brandon Ayuk, like we were with Bosa the year before, and like we were with Deebo Samuel. Like, look, I had somebody tell me that there wasn't any drama really with the Bosa and Deebo, with Bosa's contract or Trent Williams. And I'm like, yes, there was. When you aren't signing until 2 and 3 days before the season starts, or when you're not signing your contract and showing up until September, that is drama. Like, because there really is a risk that they won't be there day one. And people are like, well, there was never any risk. Well, then why weren't they there for 3 weeks if there was no risk of them actually missing it? And why did Trent say missing training camp and trying to come in and play was the hardest thing he ever done in his life? Like, these are big deals, and it is drama. Like it whether you call it drama or not, it's significant. So the fact that it's done and it's out of the way and we're there and ready to go, and this team is rejuvenated, they're hungry again, man, that's exciting. Especially when we had talked about, we went through the schedule. They have a very amenable schedule this next season. So
the easiest in all of football.
Like really seriously look out for the 49ers next year. I'm so excited for this year because you can't be worse than last year. And I mean, really, like with this, and the drama's gone. You got your quarterback signed. You got all these things going. The biggest thing I think the shadow hanging over it is Brandon Ayuk's recovery. If Brandon Ayuk was 100% healthy, we'd be looking at this team like they are going to be a beast into this season. Not having Brandon Ayuk is thing. And then now you have Ricky Pearsall with the hamstring, because after Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall, we know Juwan Jennings is a stud. But what else do you have behind that? As far as receivers,
right?
A whole lot of not sure.
Yeah, you got a solid running game, and you got George Kittle. So look, we're still okay. But yes, I mean, come on. It is more fun to talk about Jose Cortez and Arnaz Battle than drama of the offseason. I will say that. Because Mike B was saying the present, please. I had a lot of anger issues back then. It wasn't a good feel for me. Yeah, but we'll take that. We'll take talking about Arnaz Battle over talking about the drama of X player who is not signed yet. So Arnaz Battle all day.
No, not Arnaz Battle all day.
Cry. No, that's the new hashtag. It's not.
No, but just remember that was before Brandon Lloyd came along. Brandon Lloyd was like the greatest 49ers receiver who never really was able to stick around. Like,
dude, his highlight reel, it makes you think that he was a first ballot Hall of Famer with those some of those catches.
The
Crazy,
the
man.
the 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 circus catches. Now, I do
Yeah,
remember I just wish that they'd been able to figure out a way to hold on him and that he had been able to, it took him being bounced around the league a little bit to actually kind of wake up and become more of a professional.
yeah,
A lot of players had talked about their frustration with him. He wasn't a hard studier. He didn't really get anything. It took him a while. He was just, I mean, he was so crazy talented with the catches he could make that it was just all, kind of living off that. But anyways, just, excited for the season. Uh, Getting through, the next few weeks, getting the OTAs mini camps through, and then we hit the dark zone. We're going to be really diving into the draft picks during July when we hit that dark zone of the year as we dive into all of them. So, um, it's good. I'm working through Jordan James. I did some with Rob yesterday, and I'm gonna watch about 5 more games of his. One thing I really like about Jordan James is that I think he's more 49ers scheme ready than Isaac Garendo was last year, and it's by a wide margin. Garendo is super physically talented. Him and Jordan James are almost the same size, but Garendo's 40 time is like 2/10 of a second faster. I mean, it's a pretty wide gap between their 40s. So, but with Jordan James, definitely upstairs and scheme comfortability wise, he is much more ready for what the 49ers are going to ask him to do than Isaac Garendo was. So that'll be an interesting camp battle, I think.
yeah. We'll see as OTAs continue and as more storylines come in. There's something that's going to be able to be talked about. But we're excited that the guys are kind of out there and together. That's just fun because it brings us together as the faithful as well. It's just fun. And as we get to June and July, it's like, okay, that means we're closer to the regular season. So, again, be sure to hit the bell, just click on it after we assume you've already liked and subscribed. Come on, there's thousands and thousands of you, right? You've done that, right? But make sure you hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when new content drops. And we will see you next week. So, in the meantime, in between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.